Let's go. Come on. We're gonna change it this year. I just wanted to this fall. I'm just playing with it a little bit right now. We're just playing with it a little bit. There we go. Now we're back. Good morning, everybody. 6:26 in the morning. This is Low Pop Up. I'm just getting all of my different streams out there. We're gonna have it out there all different kinds of ways. So we'll be live on Facebook, YouTube, everything. We're doing that now. Summer. So if you want to be in on the Zoom, I will put the Zoom in here. And that'll be for all my Facebook people. But YouTube has StreamYard and all that stuff going on. I just found that out. Thanks to Kevin Samuels. Man. Yeah, that was great. That was a nice little start. Yeah, of course you released your claim. You had no claim, Warner. But that's okay. All right, let's see where we are now. Okay, good. Let's get into the chat. Yeah. So let me just copy the YouTube. We're popping up this summer. This is not a official show yet. We're just popping up for the summertime. Anybody who knows about the Raw Perspective on emails, you know that we vibe out in the morning, and but we are still in the midst of summertime, so we're gonna respect your summer. And I don't expect anybody to jump on this morning, but I definitely will put it out there. If anybody's up to check in. Who wants to check in on the summertime? Let's go to YouTube real quick. There you go, banners. There you go. Pop up, let's go. And we're everywhere in all different formats too. So if there's a chat going on, just come on in here. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Wow. Yeah. I'm gonna do a new intro too, but I like this R&B intro I got here. Oh, good morning. So let's talk about the summer, man. I got a little bit of time before I get onto my day. It's been a good summer. I gotta tell you something, man. Played a lot of golf this summer. I'm kind of getting a lot of new things, man. Golf is becoming an effort now. I don't want to tell that I don't like it anymore. I love it. I love golf. It just the act of getting to it and doing, driving all this every morning that far just for golf. I'm starting to really feel comfortable in my little zone I am in now, where I am, the new studio. Thank you guys for coming in this morning. Thank you for checking out. Thank you for listening. This is a summer pop-in. We're doing a little summertime pop-in where I bring you up to date on what's happening for the summer, and then, whatever energy you guys got going on. This is just my thing that I do. And if you've listened to the Raw Perspective morning emails before, you know that it can be interesting, and we're very topical. I've kind of, not that I stayed away from the news this summer, but I made a point of just sort of disconnecting while I was rebuilding my changing my environment, my energy. As you know, I can talk about it now. It wasn't a breakup. It was just more of I had a major separation, so I was very happy to move forward in my life, and I feel great about it. It's been a great morning, great, interesting summer. And as you can see now, I'm in a new space. I finally, I'm in my new place. I'm in my new studio, and ultimately, I got my sons here, which is great. My boys are here, and that's been a great little thing for me. But I got to tell you guys something, man. It's been beautiful, man. Just watching all these seeds that we planted grow and sort of take on lives of their own. I'm just having a great time, enjoying it, man. So good morning, everybody. Unc's here. This is the Morning Yawning summer pop-up. I'm taking a break in between breaks. So I'm taking a break just so I can have a break and just pop. I'm breaking the break. Let's just say that, so you guys can come in and just check me out. Wow. So a lot of things happened this summer. On the OSG front, man, that's been moving along pretty well. Shout out to Dennis Bikisi and the whole Dr. Dennis Bikisi and the whole OSG family. On the Talos Media side, we've been moving forward. Billy Dance has been moving forward, doing some great things. MOP, Teflon, on the music side and music business. A lot of great things have been happening, and I'm just really happy about it. On the country's front, the gas is still up, but it's coming down a little bit. I'm glad about that. All my principals are out of here. They're off on summer vacations and doing what they do this summer. So I'm really happy for them because they've got a big job to do when we get back. I'm really hoping that when we get back, we can sit down and really do some major work for the kids. And not as a scold. I'm really proud of all of the accomplishments because they needed a year. They needed a couple years to sort of realize that they had that much power and presence and programming presence in the world. And finally, they've taken that year and now, a year or two, and now we can now focus on utilizing those power positions and sort of get better at some of the things that we've been trying to do this year. So I watched them. And now we're still suffering. The kids are still suffering. The kids are still having trouble. The kids are still in the street doing some damage to each other. So now we have to really implement not just processes for ourselves, but processes to help the kids do well. That's one of the things that we got to work on. I see it happen, and I see action in the community, which I'm very proud of that. So let's just get that going properly. Again, another great thing that's happening this year. Summertime. This is the time to rebuild. I've been working. I've been busy all summer, just building my relationships, making my contacts, building all my new clients, getting my client list up. And even though, on my company too, I have some kinks to get out. It's been tough, because it's hard to get. Why is it so hard to get people to work nowadays? There was a time when people would work. And they would get up in the morning and they want to go to work and do the things they need to do. This particular generation of people seems to be, if they think they're working, then they're working hard, whether or not it's effective or not. There was a time when work was being affected, but it's not anymore. Now, even the criminal work, we said we're going to put that work in. That work meant something, Nowadays, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to live my truth. My truth. I got to tell you something, people. I got to tell you something, man. The crock of bullshit, the crock of BS that we are living by in this country is getting so crazy. I mean, just everybody's just a crock of BS. It's not black. It's everybody. It's not black. It's not what as soon as you get to America, you start to live a life of BS. So, I'm glad that I found it easier now to point it out without being disagreeable. I used to be disagreeable, but I'm not as disagreeable anymore. Good morning, it's your boy Unc. The morning emails. We are here this morning. This is our little summertime pop up, and I just wanted to pop in and check on y'all. It's been I've had basically the whole summer off, and I'm going to come back in August and bring the show back in August, but I just wanted to come in and check on everybody, see how everybody's doing, let everybody know I'm still here. in a new studio. I don't know how it sounds yet. You guys tell me if it sounds great. If you can see the picture frame TV in the back, no more virtual. I won't do any more virtual green screen backgrounds. And you see, I love that, right? My little picture frame TV is just playing all these beautiful works of art. I don't know if you know it yet, and you'll get to see my new place transform over the next few months. It's starting to come together now, but it hasn't yet to transform. But it will be beautiful once I get it together. This is my place. I even went through a separation this year, and you know what? All for the better. People think that people like we're gonna stay together for the rest of our life. Listen, let me tell you something, man. It ain't for everybody. Relationships are hard. I mean, listen. I've been watching Kevin Samuels all summer. Rest in peace to Kevin. Rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. I've been watching him all summer. I've really been going backwards and just listening to all of his stuff. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just, I want you to understand, men and women are different, first and foremost. All right. Men have a different way of looking at things. And I totally get it. And I understand it. I go through this now, even with my own daughters. I have a certain way of looking at things, and they have a certain way of looking at things. Kevin Samuels had a very distinct way of looking at things. It was, and let me give you I analyzed it as he was a man who, rest in peace, he was a man who looked at women through eyes of a woman, but the eyes of a man, but the lens of a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that was, and I'm not going to say the man was, his gender was sort of confused or anything. No, I'm saying that because he was raised by his mother, he looked at life through the eyes of his mother. We find that today where men who are big men, they look at life through the eyes of through the voice and the eyes and the feelings of a woman. That goes to why it's important to have two parents. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to have the male and female personalities. I know that a lot of women out there really doing their job, busting their butt, man, trying to raise kids, and they don't have their man in their house. I mean, it's an epidemic of single mothers in the African American community that's so out of pocket, so out of control. It's an epidemic, and not just in the American community, also a lot of broken families in the white community as well. So we don't talk about that. But what you do when you don't have that father figure in the life of the child, you then sort of create a man who looks at life like a man, but with the lens of a woman. And I think that's what Kevin Samuels did. He looked at life like a man, but with the lens of a woman. And I thought that was interesting. As I sat there and I analyzed, I spent the entire summer analyzing this guy. I analyzed this guy all summer because because what I'm trying to find out. Now, I deal with educators. I deal with some amazing doctors and everything, but they have not yet found out what the crux of the problem, the social emotional problems that the children are having out here in the streets in our community and the breakdown of the family. And they haven't found that out. I mean, we sit and talk about it all the time. We sit there and we try to, but we don't. We have triage. We have people who are great educators and community leaders, but they have not mastered or even gotten to the crux of why are young men and women out there, being violent, being, all the things that are happening. Why is the single rate, the broken families are so prevalent in our community? Why is a divorce in the African American community at 60-70%? Why is there an epidemic of single Black women out there? Very progressive and powerful, but single Black women out there. And we haven't gotten to the answer to these problems. And I was just doing research and just studying all these things. And what I found And if you break it down, if you really listen to it, and this is your boy Uncle A's, this is a summer break. I'm just coming in for a summer little break for a little while and just doing a pop-up morning show. And I'll be back in August. I just come in sometime just so I can just, sort of how would you say? I want to retune the muscle. All right, pause. So, what I found in my research and studying is that the family's been broken down in the African American community. And what happens in the African American community, it gets copied by the white community. And this is the only community, though, if you look at it, where the women who are now in power or empowered now have taken, from a media perspective, have taken that power and used it to target the African American man. So this is the only community where the African American women are actually throwing shots at the man that they're raising. That's crazy. When I think about that, I was like, wow. I was wondering why we haven't actually mastered or solved this problem, because then I started studying other communities. I went to, some of the white communities, and especially in Jersey and Connecticut, whatever the case may be, there was a structure there, and the men sort of ran the community, if you understand what I mean. And then the Indian community, even though the women are functional and they run things, they're very much bosses. The men, who are the builders, right? The men, the infrastructure, the men run those communities. In the Spanish community, where I even did the research to find out, I was like, let me see, how much money are Spanish men making, Hispanic men making in this country? And I mean, when I say Hispanic, I mean Dominican, I mean Puerto Rican, I mean Mexican, I mean Argentina, all the different Spanish people that are in the country. And I wanted to see how did they, how was their family structure? And then I was like, the women really came into their roles as women, and they really stayed in that space, even though the African American people were making more money. So it breaks down like this: the Chinese make more money than everybody in the country per capita. Like the Chinese make more money, right? Like, so if you take a family, the Chinese family, a white family, an African American family, Hispanic family, the Chinese make more money. The white family second, the African Americans are third, and the Hispanics are fourth. The Indian family they're making some really big headways. Middle Eastern Indian people are making some big headways, but really it's Chinese, white, African American, Hispanic men in large, even though there are many more Hispanics than African Americans in the country, are making less per family than the African Americans in this country. A lot of the wealth in the African American family now is starting to be driven by African American females. Unfortunately, the African American females are single, and that is a problem. So it's not so much. What I say that to say is not so much the money in the African or the wealth in the African American community. It is the lack of family that has given us some of these problems that we're having, and we got to figure out how to bring our families back together. Wow. Good morning, everybody. Unks here. Interesting. And I got to tell you something. So I've been spending all summer doing this little pop-up. Doing this little research just keeping me busy, along with the other projects that I'm working on. I got a lot of projects I'm working on. Shout out to Dr. Sheena Baez. Shout out to all the Teresa Moore up in Rhode Island for Cambridge, Massachusetts. Just shout out to everybody I'm working with this summer, all the new clients that I'm working with. Shout out to my OSG family. We have a very busy OSG schedule that's going to be great this year, and all the things that have to be done. OSG is, Dennis is the visionary, Dennis McKeesey, Dr. McKeesey is the visionary OSG. So basically, in OSG world, I am just 100% in support of everything that we do. And he has a very large tent, OSG has a very large tent. So he has again, as much time as I spend, I'm still sort of amazed at his ability to manage all the different personalities. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a very interesting man. Watch him. And just a very interesting man. But back to my point. So I'm listening. I'm doing a whole summer. I'm focused on this man. I'm going, I got to see why I didn't like him. Why was he such a polarizing figure? And what validity did he have to his conversation? And so then I started focusing on some of the African-American women that are out there, the content creators, the people that were making content and that were talking about this guy. And I see it. I saw it. I saw some very famous African-American women who never held themselves to account, but in other words, when you're having an argument with someone and they just want to talk over you in the argument, but their point doesn't have any real validation. It only has validation to them because it's their point, but it's not real. Like I can go, this is an iPhone, and the person said, well, iPhones are bad. And I said, well, my iPhone works. iPhones are bad. My iPhone works. iPhones are bad. And as far as I'm concerned, it's got to be a Samsung. It's got to be a Galaxy or whatever, Android or whatever the case may be. And they'll argue that point. Now, I'm not saying that iPhones are bad. I mean, I'm not saying that Galaxy is bad, but they're going to argue that Galaxy point. The difference in that argument is, the result of iPhones are bad is a breakdown of the whole entire African American community. That's the result of that. That is the result. The result is that the community is breaking down. So let's take iPhones out the picture and say iPhone is a full family, like, a traditional African-American family pre-1965, where African-American families were at 80%, right? And then they say, no, the new way is single mothers. Let's say the Android is single mothers. The Android is single mothers, and I don't need no man. I can raise them by myself, independent. I got my own money. Don't tell me how to spend it. Right? Well, they're going to argue that point because they're going to say it's my truth. But the fact is, without the family structure, the kids are suffering. They're struggling because we don't have the mother and dad. Or dads being active. I ain't saying you got to stay together. I'm just saying we don't have the activity of dads. And so when you're raising boys as a woman and you demonize the dad, what happens is you're basically dooming the boy, because the boy will become his father. That is biology. That is the truth. That's what happens. And that's how it works. So yeah, that's been my thoughts this summer. That's why, and the thing is, that's why even in my situation, I'm separated. I'm in a new space. I'm building my life now. Just, Uncle Lays is on this journey of doing me, right? My single journey, right? Well, what is that? Is that lightning? A thunder? Oh boy, rainstorm coming. On my single journey, I have to make sure that I spend as much time as I can with my sons. So I'm going to go to African American men, because now Dennis came. Dr. Breezy always has another way of looking at things, and so he gave me a jewel about 3.5 months ago. He's saying that the men have to step up, because what happens is when women make it difficult for men, like say when the emotional relationship breaks up, there's emotions involved, and the men don't want to really deal with the woman, and the woman don't want to deal with the men. The problem is the woman got the kids. So now the woman's emotion and the kids are aligned. So in other words, the woman mad at the daddy, the kids mad at the daddy. Well, daddy's got to find a way to break that cycle and let the kids know, no matter what happens with the woman, it's going to be me and you. I deal with this now with my daughter, so I understand that. I understand. Like, they don't know what happened between, like, say, my oldest daughter doesn't know why her mother and I broke up. But for years, my daughter was mad at me. Now she's getting older. She's like, okay, Dad, I used to be mad at you, but, boom. But then you lose a lot of years of a relationship that you can't control. In this case, my 24-year-old is fighting a battle because she grew up with her father and her mother, and she was raised to an adult with them. So now this is a tragedy for her. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't understand how to process that. And from, oh my God, my dad and my mother are not together anymore. How do I process that? So she then, in the beginning, she takes as a daughter would, takes the side of mom. And then finally she's loosening up and going, okay, Dad, I know. Anyway, so the African-American family. What I want to say this morning in this summer pop-up, I just want to come in for a little while and just sort of kick it for about 20, 30 minutes and just sort of get my broadcast muscle back. I took off for the entire summer. I'm building my studio. I'm building my place. So it'll be different in August when I come back, and I might pop up again in another week or so and talk about something else. But I just wanted to just tell you guys that I appreciate all the support. We'll be a lot on YouTube this summer as well. And we'll bring back all the characters, and we'll be getting ready to go full steam ahead coming soon. So this is your boy Uncle Lace to the Raw Perspective. As I always start and end this, shout out to my OSG family, shout out to my MOP First family. We'll be back again in, maybe a week or so, and I'll come back and we'll do it again. And then we'll start back in August with that everyday, Monday through Thursday, Raw Perspective morning emails. And again, thank you. Rest in peace, Kevin Samuels, by the way. I really did a lot of work on him this summer. Rest in peace to him, and continue praying for our community, praying for all of our educators that go out there and fight the fight. Pray for the kids, and then let's have honest discussion about real ways to solve problems, as opposed to people staying in their own trenches and thinking that they know what it is. If it's not working for you, then you have to find another way. All right, that's all that matters. And things are not working in our community, and we have to find a better way to deal with it. I need y'all to understand that. But thank you very much for coming out with me this morning. We will be back again in maybe another week or so as I start to frame it out. Oh, Dr. Farrington, good morning, Allie. Good to see you, Allison. Yeah, I just popped in today just to sort of kick it. D. Parks, good morning. Please don't get me started on mothers, daughters, and divorce. Everything in the dark come to the light. Kids eventually get older and see recognize what's. Yeah, before, D. Parks, let me just say this to you. I think you make a great point there. Before I go, my man D. Parks, let me put a call in today before I get started to D. Parks. And I know what you're saying, but I really want to. I really want to take. I want to take a different approach to that conversation. I know where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from. Good morning, D. Parks.
What up?
Well, this is my little summer pop-up, and I was about to get out of here. But before I get out of here, I know where you're coming from. I just think that we have to look at it a different way. But first, give me your point, your point of view on.
I was going to ask you what different way was first, but I'll give you mine. No problem.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, we're men, and we come from where we come from, and we're nurturers, regardless of where we come from. Like, we take care of family, like we took care of the street.
We're protectors. Mothers are nurturers. We are protectors.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. However, sometimes you get situations, I speak from my personal experience, whereas they're not, like, some aren't as nurturers as others, you know what I mean? And, they engage in manipulation of us because they know our love for our children and everything. And as we tend to now get tired of it because we don't see any reciprocity, and we see the games being played and the manipulation, we step away. You know what I'm saying? And they try to turn, the kids, or use the kids, not turn them, but use the kids as tools against us. But eventually, as I said, kids get older. They see what's what and who's who. Is like, wow, my dad wasn't really that bad of a guy.
So, and this is going to be a good way to end this show, but let me just give you my understanding of that, D. First and foremost, the problem, what you're saying is very valid. The problem with that is that the time that you have with your kids, that time doesn't stop. In other words, those formative years for the child doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So if let's say if your child's 11 years old and you have an issue with your child's mother, well, that 11-year-old child has to still live with the mom. And so if the man pulls himself away totally, what happens, and I understand your point, because it's a lot for men to deal with. My father pulled away. A lot of fathers pull away.
I don't mean to interrupt you, because I guess in my description, I left out the part. Like, when we step away, I don't mean we step away from the kid. I mean we step away from the relationship with the mother. And again, I'm speaking from example. I have custody of my daughter. So I've maintained that from the divorce 15 years ago.
Right.
To this day, I've always kept my kids every weekend, and I maintained a positive, strong relationship with them. However, the mother did everything she can to undermine that, and and that's what I meant. By eventually they get older.
That is a very powerful weapon that's used. Remember, the mother. It's impossible to disseminate. It is to differentiate the end of a relationship versus the relationship with the child, especially from a mother's perspective. It's almost impossible not to cross collateralize the relationship. It's just what it is. We just have to, as men, we just have to continue to be. There's no right answer, D. You know what I'm saying? Like for instance, you're an anomaly. You're a father who has custody of his daughter, of his growing daughter, who then, in that sense, as great as you are as a father, you're now having issues where you now have to now provide being a mother for a 14-year-old, 15-year-old daughter who actually needs a mother to teach her how to be a woman. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's vice versa in a sense, because you still need, as much as you give her 1,000% of what you give her, she still needs a mother to teach her how to be a woman.
100%. And my point, though, in saying that, and I'm glad you brought that up, is because it's still 15 years later. You know what I mean? She's still doing stuff to try to get at me and utilizing my daughter. My daughter's looking at it like, she's ridiculous. Like, why is she being so difficult? So I'm saying, as they get older, they see the manipulation, they see who's who, and it's like, oh shit, wow. You know what I'm saying? That's the point I'm making, because as we separate, yes, it should still be congeniality. There still should be some.
That's almost impossible, especially in situations where there's relationships and emotions involved. It's going to be hard. That's going to be hard to get going. But ultimately, I think therapy is in effect. I think we as African American people, men and women, we sometimes don't want to get therapy, and I think.
Speaking of that, and I'm going to leave you on this note, I know you're about to cut off. She wound up being family and family and marriage counselor, right? And then this past weekend, did everything she could with her foot in the sand. I'm not doing that. No. If you want to come out here, you bring her. And it's like, wait a minute. Would you tell your clients that if they came to you for counseling? Oh, I'm not getting that with you. You know what I'm saying? So this is bananas.
Your ex-wife is a marriage counselor? Is that what you're saying?
Has now become a marriage and family counselor.
Oh, man.
But does everything.
gotta laugh. I gotta laugh on that one for a second. Wait a minute. So wait, D Parks. The ex-wife the mother who left you to have custody with your daughter is now, who you divorced, is now a marriage counselor.
Yeah.
You can't write this. You can't make
this shit up.
You can't make this
right?
up.
And let me give you this example, right?
I mean, you buried the lead. You should have started with that.
You know, we got to say the punchline.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh yeah.
So here's the funny part, right? Here's the funny part. You know, we going, the golf tournament this weekend, right?
Yeah, tournament. OTGC so like, this weekend's gonna be great.
So listen to this. This is hilarious, right? So I told her a month ago, like, yo, listen, we going up here. She's gonna need to get her hair done. Come by your house, get some clothes, whatever. All right, cool. This week comes that just passed, and it was going to be she would have picked up on Thursday. And I'm like, nah, she has school on Friday. She doesn't get out till 12:30. She said, oh, okay. And I hear nothing else from her. She books clients Friday evening, Saturday, or weekend. Now she's saying, oh, I don't have time to come out there to pick her up and bring her to Jersey because I have clients. But you knew she had to come out here. I told you 4 weeks ago.
Well, listen. I told you, it's the most amazing thing.
I told you a month ago. Yo, listen, I told you a month ago. She said, nah, you didn't tell me a month ago. You told me 3 weeks ago.
As a marriage counselor, one thing I would assume that a marriage counselor would say to a mother or father is that, prioritizing with your children should be of the utmost importance.
Yeah, dude.
You gotta laugh at this. You gotta laugh at this.
She said, what I'm going to do, tell my clients no. I said, well, you got no problem telling your daughter no.
Wow. D, I can't wait to get back to this show, man. I miss it. It's just so good. It's so good. It's and listen, make sure you come back, and I'll let you know ahead of time when I'm going to get up and get on in the morning, because some of these things really, what you're speaking to is what's really happening in the community. This is why, the incompetence of man and the selfishness of woman are combining in our community to create children that are not prepared for the real world. We have to figure out a way to feel this out. And I spent the entire summer checking out Kevin Samuels and listening to all of his shows. And I really saw where he was coming from. But even in that, I saw the flaw in his logic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I saw the flaw in the man's logic, there's work that we got to do, and we have to do it another and a better way. I commend you for being a father to your daughter, raising your daughter. And even when you got to deal with some of the craziness that we have to deal with in our community, our sisters need help. They need to understand the difference between their truth and the truth.
Yeah.
Because there's so many bitter, and I'm not all of them, but there's so many bitter sisters out there that are single. Finley Bradford, good morning, peace and blessings, that are very bitter, and their bitterness is transferring to the children.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot to unwind. So we need to really heal as a community. And I think therapy, you're right. And listen, let me tell you something. This vet to therapist, if I find a therapist is actively in a custody battle, I'm not going to use that therapist.
Yeah, I want to see her Yelp one day. I want to see her Yelp.
Yeah, I'm going to have to see a Yelp. I'm going to need to know. I'm going to check a credit rating. I got to see what the hell's going on. But anyway, yeah. D Parks, man, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for popping in and saying and contributing this morning, man. And we'll be back next month, man. But I'll pop in, and if I pop in another week or so, just to get, I got to get that muscle pause back. The broadcast muscle. I've been off all month. But anyway, come on back, man. We'll talk to you soon. My brother D Parks, thank you very much, brother.
I love you always. I'll see you this weekend.
I'll see you this weekend. We're gonna have a great time. My brother. Yeah. Peace.
All right, peace.
Good night, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Have a great time. And thank you. Thank you for coming in this morning. It's your boy Uncle Ace from the Raw Perspective Morning Emails. Summer pop-up. We will be back. We'll be back in in August, but we'll pop in just to get some exercise, and of course, we Deep Park is hilarious. Oh man! Let's leave with one thing today. If you guys get therapy, whatever, make sure you vet your therapist. Make sure that they're not going through the social or emotional issues. So, anyway, listen. Have a great day, everybody. Love y'all. Appreciate it. Y'all get out there and as my sister Allison Farrington says, be great today. Salute. Oh, that was great, D. Wow. Wow.